Hello and welcome back to this week's segment of the Sideliners. And also, happy Halloween. As you can see, we are dressed up.
Yes, you are.
I am a track star,
You're a track star.
90s track star. You can't see, but I got the short shorts on and everything, so you're missing out.
And I guess I'm a 90s kid. I'm even rocking my Shacks in here, back here.
It's very impressive.
My $20 Shacks I bought.
But let's get started.
Store.
So let's just talk about EMU, okay? So they lost again, but it was another close one again, 30-27 in overtime to NIU.
There's nothing like Heartbreak City, Michigan.
Oh yeah.
It's nuts. It's bananas how close every game is. By the way, I'm Evan Hensley and this is Michael Kermy. But yeah, it was just a brutal game. It was a brutal game to watch. Another heartbreaker where they blew a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, which allowed a really good NIU team to come back and win. Yeah,
and you look at it right here, some of the top players on offense. Brogan Roback actually had a decent game, threw for about 50%, 262 yards and a touchdown. And then Holder, his one pass was for a touchdown for 45 yards. Now, on the other side of the ball, Childers threw for 278 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the biggest issue there was no interceptions. So even though our defense shined, because they actually did play very well that game, they were not creating turnovers.
I mean, also Childers also added another 54 yards on the ground with a rushing touchdown. So he was kind of the rock, the guy who carried NIU's offense through this game. And like you said, Brogan Roback, 50% completion. It's not something for him to shine, to be happy about.
No.
Because it didn't this game just, in that fourth quarter, you had a blocked punt, which flipped this game up completely upside down. It was a game changer because you were up. I think they were up 14 at that point.
Yep.
They blocked the punt. They're in deep Eastern Michigan territory, and they go down. They just go down and score. And after another short EMU drive, they score again. And here we are in overtime.
And what do they do?
A loss.
Yep.
They just take a field goal rather than going for big points.
But on the bright side, though, we can talk about our stars. You know, Sergio Bailey, yet another 90-yard game and a touchdown. I mean, we'll say it every week. He is the consistent player on that offense. And Ian Erickson, again, 81 yards rushing. It was a little bit quieter of a game. He didn't score a touchdown, but he broke off a long 25-yard rush. It just seemed like we kept fading out. And then really what this game came down to was our kicking.
I mean, you're right, and he missed. How many field goals did he miss again?
He missed 3, but 1 was blocked, so I'll give him a break on that one.
But 2 for 5.
Yep.
Pauly Furcano last year, I believe, missed only 1 kick the entire season. What has happened? His confidence must be shot. He's cost them 3 games now through these missed kicks.
And, I mean, I'll give it to him. The 2 that he missed were his 2 longer ones. He had a 42-yarder that he missed, and then for college, a long 50-yard field goal. But the 36-yarder was blocked. And like you said, we'll go back to another special teams blunder. When we had a blocked punt, it's because these college teams run this weird punt formation. Every team does it. Instead of just putting full-blown protection on your punter, they like to spread out all the guys, leaving holes for, if for some reason some guy is missed, he is almost guaranteed to get in there and block that punt. And we had a block punt the last game we played because we found the same flaw. There was an opening. The guy took his eyes off of the outside rusher, and he made it. He blocked it in the end zone for a touchdown.
Sound like it's all about, they're just trying to get those gunners out and stopping the opposing returner. But on that note, let's take a look a little bit at this Eastern Michigan game going this week. Another midweek action game at home. Second to last home game of the season as they host Ball State. Ball State, a horrible team. We both have equal records. We're both what? 2-6 this year. 2-6 this year, and we're both 0-4 in the MAC.
Yep.
Except the big difference is this Ball State team has been outscored 200 points to 32 in the last 4 weeks. Eastern Michigan has been 98 to 86.
I think this is where Eastern gets back on track. This has to be a win, and I think it's going to be a win. I think defense is going to dominate, and I think our offense and our stars, Sergio Bailey, Ian Erickson, and Brogan Roback, are all just going to succeed. Now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to start talking about our predictions that we had for last week's college football.
Welcome to one of the fastest growing universities for freshmen in Michigan. A university where differences are celebrated. Where faculty believe their students' success is their success. Where our honors college has doubled in size, and where we are nationally recognized for educating and improving our community. Being here is about being part of something bigger. It's about being part of a family. It's about fitting in while standing out. Now's the time to challenge yourself and be surrounded by people who truly care about your success. So whether you become an artist who inspires others, a creator who develops something new, or an innovator who changes the way people think, this is your opportunity. Fuel your curiosity through research. Hit the stage and enrich the lives of others. Compete in Division I athletics. No matter your path, we all bleed green. So roll up your sleeves. Dive in. Experience learning in and out of the classroom. Be a student of life. Welcome to higher education. Welcome to Eastern Michigan University. Welcome home.
Welcome back to the Sideliners, and what we saw this weekend was a great set of college football games.
Oh, yeah.
And what many people believed was set to be the greatest college football game of the season between Ohio State and Penn State.
Absolutely panned out to be, too. It was a 39-38 comeback win by the Buckeyes, and honestly is an incredible upset. You see here, J.T. Barrett, hands down, put himself back in that Heisman discussion. 33 of 39. 39 passes, and you only have 6 incompletions. That's incredible. 328 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions.
And here's what's even bigger about those stats by J.T. Barrett. He had about 3 or 4 drops in that game.
Yeah.
Those Ohio State receivers stink, and he still put up those numbers.
Yep.
He had the greatest game. I've been watching J.T. Barrett for going on 4 years now. This is the best game he's ever played. Period. Set. It's set. He played amazing this past week. And what they did against Saquon Barkley is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
They held him to a 136-yard run, but outside of that, he had 21 carries for 44 yards, including that 36-yard run. That's less than a yard a carry.
Yeah. Besides his kickoff return, which was the first play of the game, which set the tone, he was held completely silent. Now, this is a guy who's been leading the Heisman discussions, leading it, and the Ohio State defense shut him down. And J.T. Barrett, another thing that many people don't realize, throughout this entire season, he has 1 interception. 1.
Oh, he's been rocking
Now, what they don't show is the fact that, yes, he did have 2 fumbles in this game, which were costly at times, but overall, you throw for 33 completions on 39 attempts, 4 touchdown passes, 320-plus yards, and 2 fumbles. That's an incredible game no matter who you are. And like we said, it's an upset. You beat the number 2 team. Buckeyes are hands down now in the playoff discussion. They're in it.
Oh, and what we learned, and J.T. Barrett's now in the Heisman race now, too.
Yep.
How a season can change in one game. And one of the biggest things in this game was how that defensive line at Ohio State looked.
Yes.
Many experts have said this could potentially be the greatest defensive line in college football history. They have potentially 5 or 6 first-round picks on that offensive line. Defensive line, my bad. It is so good, and you saw them take that Penn State offense in the 4th quarter out of the game. They took Trace McSorley out of his element, and they made him make the plays, and he didn't make the plays. He forced, I think it was 6 straight incompletions.
Yep.
But
And now, well, actually, first I want to ask you, though, Does JT Barrett edge out Saquon Barkley?
Oh, no.
No?
Barkley's still got a bit of a lead. Bryce Love's still in the conversation. Baker Mayfield's still in the conversation. But we're going to head over to one of the biggest upsets of the week,
Yep.
Iowa State against TCU.
This was a first-half game. And as you can see here, 14 points, all of their points came in the first half for Iowa State, only allowing 7 to TCU. And this is actually really incredible when you think about the fact that TCU is a very high-scoring team. Even Iowa State's a high-scoring team, and both teams played great defense. Both teams were able to shut down the other team's offense, but Iowa State just edged them out.
I mean, Kenny Hill's a really good quarterback.
Yep.
And they held him to less than 50% completions and 2 interceptions. And that's something that you have to put on notice because this TCU defense has been what's been carrying this team. This is
Yes.
still a pretty solid TCU offense, but it's the defense that's been carrying this team throughout the season.
And this was incredible when you think two high-powered offenses, and yet defense was the name of the game for this one. Two of like the higher-scoring ranked teams in the country held to a total of 21 points. That's incredible. And then Kyle Kemp, threw for 202 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Yeah, that interception was a little bit of an issue, but when you think about it, that's a great game against a good TCU defense.
Oh, it really is. And on to great games. I know you're talking about your Tar Heels.
Yep.
The Miami Hurricanes had a bit of a close call against the North Carolina Tar Heels, who've only won 1 game this year.
Yeah.
And a 24-19 win.
And this, honestly, we don't talk too much about it, but this was a really incredible game when you think about the fact that we had our third-string quarterback in, Nathan Elliott. UNC, he turned it over 3 times, and yet we only lost by 5 points. And I think a lot of that comes down to, in the first half, on the first drive, we were at the 1-yard line, and we tried to get the ball in 4 straight times. We did not kick a field goal, left points on the board. There was another chance where we had a 40-some-yard field goal, and instead of kicking it, we run a fake and get shut down. That's 6 points left off the board against a ranked Miami Hurricanes team. You can't do that. And that's possibly what cost them the game. But now we're going to turn our attention to the World Series. I know you've been paying a lot of attention to it. Houston Astros against the LA Dodgers, going into Game 6 tonight at LA. But I want to talk about the last game real quick. 13-12 in extra innings. That's incredible.
The fact that in this World Series, it's fitting because there's been the most home runs hit in the regular season ever.
Yep.
They've already broken the record for most home runs hit in the World Series. We're only 5 games into this World Series, and I'm praying for a Game 7. I know you, as a JV fan, when he was here.
Oh yeah.
You're hoping this series ends here. I want to see the Dodgers pull out another one, and I picked the Dodgers to win the whole thing, going into the playoffs.
Yep.
So
it's going to be an interesting game. You got 2 stud pitchers. I mean, obviously they're not the big name guys because that's obviously.
Kershaw and
Keuchel, but Rich Hill, solid all year long. And Justin Verlander struggled a little bit with the Tigers, but as soon as he went to the Astros, he turned right back into the ace that Detroit knew and loved.
Oh, he's been phenomenal this season. And, I mean, the pitchers are a big part of these teams, but these offenses, this Houston Astro offense is arguably one of the greatest in baseball history.
Jose Altuve
has been a monster. Carlos Correa has been a monster. George Springer has been phenomenal. Alexander Bregman, who won the game 2 nights ago against the Dodgers, has been phenomenal. And then the Dodgers, they're no pushover either.
No.
They only have one of the rookie of the year in the NL. Basically, he hasn't been awarded yet. He's going to win it. Cody Bellinger,
phenomenal,
and Corey Seager, Justin Turner. But we're going to head off. We're going to go back to a break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit what happened in the NFL this week and recap some of that. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Shanna Gilkison, and ETV has been a very important part of my life, especially for the last 4 years.
I got my start at ETV in my 3rd semester at Eastern from fellow students, and it's been a great experience.
Working with all these new people that I didn't know before, it's very awesome just seeing how willing people are to get together and create something from scratch.
I'm Shanna Gilkison for Eastern Weekly, and this is E-Walking.
I will also be hosting and producing a sort of like a late night style talk show.
Everyone that's here wants to be here. They care to be here. They want to work. They want to learn. And with that kind of environment, everybody benefits.
I tell you, I've been doing really well, very successful here at Eastern, but it wasn't until I really became part of the ETV club that I really felt like I was getting more of what I needed as a student.
We decided that we wanted to do things above and beyond our coursework. So I was part of founding the ETV student org.
It just so happened that Shanna was in one of my classes, and she told me to come, and I showed up, and it was very, like, a very warm welcome. Like, everybody was very nice to me right away. And they actually had an idea to make a sitcom, or actually they called it a soap opera at that time. And they said they had, they weren't sure exactly what they wanted, but they wanted one thing. They knew that they wanted this guy, his name is Ramon, to be their main character. I mean, that was kind of how the show Week at a Glance kind of took off.
Beyond Eastern's walls, when I'm done here, I'll probably be working with some people from ETV, again, professionally. And I think a lot of students don't take advantage of what they should with organizations on campus, and ETV is one of the best.
And welcome back. Now we're going to talk about some of our predictions that we had for the NFL games. And we're going to start with the Texans versus Seahawks. I know I said it was going to be an upset and the Texans were going to pull off the win. You said basically what happened, that the Seahawks were going to pull this off.
I didn't think there was going to be this many points.
No.
But you got a heck of a game this past weekend between those two teams. Deshaun Watson has surprised me over and over again. I keep doubting him. That's been my mistake this year.
Oh, he's Rookie of the Year.
Oh, my thing is, like, our team's going to start figure out his tape? Are they going to start figuring out what he does, how to keep, if you keep him in the pocket, how do you stop him? But just look at these stats. Russell Wilson, one of his better games of his career.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Throwing, but 452 yards and 4 touchdowns, even with that pick. He only got sacked twice, and that's surprising.
I think the big thing that people don't realize is Russell Wilson is doing this behind a god-awful offensive line. I mean, they're terrible. One of the worst in the league. And then you look over on the other side of the ball what Deshaun Watson's doing. This is a rookie. And I think, like what you said, are people going to pick up on him? No, because he's still young. They don't have the tape on the guy. He's a mobile quarterback who can bomb it down the field. You don't throw for 402 yards in only 19 completions unless you got a cannon of an arm. Well, that and the fact that you got Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins, who basically, Fuller only catches touchdown passes, and Hopkins
it does everything else.
Just catches everything. It doesn't matter what's thrown his way. But a big part of this game, along with the passing game, I think, even though they lost Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller ran the ball 21 times, 54 yards, and a touchdown. But what was even more impressive was he also scored in the passing game. He had that goal line touchdown pass where it looked like Deshaun Watson was straight out of a Madden game, spinning out of a tackle, and just he tore up the Legion of Boom, if you can even call them that.
I mean, that defense is starting to show its age.
Oh, yeah.
That secondary's gotten old relatively quickly. Richard Sherman has not looked to shape, and Cam Chancellor's still doing his thing, but Earl Thomas is beaten up.
Yeah.
He might not even play this week.
They're not the team that won the Super Bowl, what was it, 3-4 years ago?
But they're still a team that I think can win the Super Bowl.
Oh, they can.
Without a doubt. This is the third year in a row. I picked Patriots, Seahawks in the Super Bowl for the third year in a row.
No way, man. It's going to be the Patriots against the Eagles.
I think the Eagles are too young. I think the Eagles are too early on in that process.
The youngsters are going to crack under the pressure if they get to the playoffs?
I mean, what did we see last year with Dallas? Dallas had the best record in the NFC last year.
Can't argue with that one. But let's turn our attention, Pittsburgh versus Detroit. I'm sure as many Detroit fans, they've heard this story long time and all the time. 2015 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who everyone's saying, oh, they're one of the best teams. But their offense really has struggled to find a groove.
It's Big Ben.
It
Age
is.
is starting to show.
Yep.
That's not a Big Ben game right there.
No.
He's a higher completion percentage guy. He didn't get sacked, but the 317 and the touchdown and interception, that's kind of been like his groove this year.
Yeah. I mean, 317 is normal for him. He's usually bombing the ball. And then you look on the other side, Matt Stafford, 423 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. It didn't seem to work out for the Lions. They held Pittsburgh completely shut out in the fourth quarter, which was very impressive. But they got into the red zone and they just couldn't find a way to just finish it. And then, of course, Juju Smith-Schuster, 97-yard touchdown pass. And that one hurt me personally because I was playing against him in fantasy. So he lit me up on that play alone. That one hurt.
Oh, he was balling. And it's funny because Martavis Bryant was the guy who was benched this week because he wanted to be that number one receiver on the team, even though they have Antonio Brown and now Juju Smith-Schuster, who was a good prospect coming into the year as a rookie. A lot of people thought he'd be really good, but this good this early is phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, taking second round, you obviously will always – you have your highest hopes for your first, second, and third round guys, and to take a wide receiver in the second round, that's very impressive because most of the time it's either in the first round or fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
You don't often see wide receivers taken in the second or third round, and you rarely see those guys produce like he has. But today was the trade deadline, and
It's bananas.
a lot of people have seen
bananas.
one of the big ones we can talk about. Well, that happened yesterday. Jimmy Garoppolo to the 49ers.
That's huge for both these teams. That affects so many teams just with that alone. Think about the Browns. The Browns, Hugh Jackson came out and said this morning, we wanted Jimmy Garoppolo in the offseason. The 49ers basically said, C.J. Beathard isn't our quarterback of the future anymore.
Yep.
And now the Patriots are looking for a backup quarterback. I was saying, let's go give Johnny Manziel a call.
Oh,
I want to see what
God.
he has, if he's got anything left in the tank.
And
But I know they're going to call Brian Hoyer and bring him in.
And I think what's interesting, though, is by making this trade, the Patriots are basically saying Brady's going to play into his mid-40s. We believe in Brady for the next 3 or 4 years. That's what you're saying by getting rid of the guy who was expected to be your future. And then in the beginning of the year, the Browns offered a first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. And they ended up
There's
taking.
been rumors about that.
and-
That's not been confirmed.
Okay, but then they end up taking a second rounder.
But this is going to be, you got to think, this is the lower of the two 49ers second round picks. So it's
True.
going to be around where the Patriots are going to be drafting in general.
So they're going to get 2 picks?
They'll have 2 picks probably in that 25 to 35 range.
Yep.
So they're picks where they typically get those picks. But onto that, we just saw a huge thing, Kelvin Benjamin getting traded to the Bills. What is that?
I think this tells you that the Bills are truly believing we're going to the playoffs this year and we are going to make a run. We are giving Tyrod Taylor another weapon, a big weapon, and we're going to make this push and we're going to try. But then when you look at it, you think, okay, Panthers, what are you doing? You're not a bad team, but with this trade, it just seems like you're giving up hope for the playoffs. And I'm not sure. We'll see what Cam can do. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to be giving you our predictions for the upcoming weekend for college football and pro football.
Are you an EMU student interested in getting a first-hand experience working at a radio station? Well, say no more. EMU offers a class through Eagle Radio that will thoroughly prepare you for a real-life experience. But first, you have to register for the class. Pick a date and a time slot. Then the world is yours. Eagle Radio allows you to be fully independent and customize your own show. Have real conversations about the news, celebrity gossip, update listeners about the weather, play a trivia game. It's your show. You're free to name your show whatever you want and play any edited music of your choice. If you love having heated debates and you feel your words need to be heard, then Eagle Radio is just for you.
Welcome back to the Sideliners. We're going to be starting to talk about our predictions for this week in college football and the NFL. And it's set to be a really good week, especially in the world of college football.
Yeah, I mean, let's get started. We have EMU versus Ball State. So I took them winning 24-14. Then Penn State versus Michigan State. Penn State blowing out Michigan State 36-14. Their offense is too strong. Iowa State is going to beat West Virginia because they are just riding that streak. They've got momentum they're going to carry. Oklahoma will destroy Oklahoma State, and it's not even going to be close. This is one of the ones that's kind of an upset for me. I have Virginia Tech beating Miami, especially if Virginia Tech can play defense like UNC did, but have their offense, strong offense. And then I have NC State beating Clemson. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think NC State is going to overpower that that very young quarterback at Clemson, and they're going to toy with them basically.
Well, that's a fair prediction. Yep. On the NC State game, I don't know why I messed that one up. I have NC State. No, I have Clemson winning 20-13.
Yep.
But back to the top, EMU, I have them obliterating Ball State 36-14, which is unlike me to pick that, but Ball State is horrible. Penn State, I have also obliterating Michigan State because they are PO'd. They are mad after that loss last week, 48-17. Iowa State's going to beat West Virginia. I agree with you on that one. They've been on fire lately, and they're looking to pick up another Big 12 win, 27-17. And the Oklahoma State game, I'm looking forward to this game so much because I love these shootouts between two Big 12 schools that don't know how to play defense. 48-42. That should be a great game to watch. And then the Miami game, I have Miami winning Virginia Tech 24-17.
And that's going to be a good game. And I picked the blowout against Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State, but I can agree with you. That's a rivalry. And everyone knows in rivalries, anyone can show up at any time.
I mean, I think that game in particular, I think Oklahoma State actually has the edge on defense. That Oklahoma defense is injured, and it's not good. So, but onto that, we're going to start talking about the NFL games this week, and it's got a pretty good lineup.
Yeah, I mean, the one game we were going to hit on, Chiefs versus Cowboys, I personally, just because of how good they are, Chiefs are going to win this. It's going to be 28-14, especially with Ezekiel Elliott's suspension being upheld. Panthers are going to lose, and now my pick doesn't look that bad with Kelvin Benjamin being out. 24-17 against the Falcons, and Matt Ryan's going to have a breakout game. He's going to throw the 3 touchdown passes. And then the Eagles are going to beat the Broncos. That hurts me to say that, but I think if the Broncos change up their quarterback situation, we've got a chance. It's going to be low scoring, though, because the Broncos are good defense. 17-14 Eagles if we don't change the quarterbacks.
Oh, I definitely feel the same way about the Eagles and the Broncos game. The Chiefs and the Cowboys, I do think the Chiefs are going to destroy the Cowboys. Now that it looks like Zeke is not going to play this weekend. 29-14. They may say like that. I actually had the Falcons beating the Panthers 28-24. I think, like I said, I agree with you, Matt Ryan. And I think the Panthers are actually score less points now because Kelvin Benjamin is not on that team anymore. Now that Devin Funchess is the number 1 wide receiver on that team.
Yeah.
And then I have the Eagles beating your Broncos 21-10. Sorry, Dad. I just had to pick against your Broncos.
And they got Jay Ajayi. I mean, a new guy. So that means no matter what, you have a star running back between LeGarrette Blount or Jay Ajayi. And Carson Wentz is he's possibly the MVP.
He's in the conversation. I'd give him, my guy Tom Brady's having a phenomenal year.
Alex Smith
is having a really good year. And
Kareem Hunt.
Deshaun Watson, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe?
You can give it to him.
But that's this week's episode of The Sideliners. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Evan Hensley, along here with Michael Kermy. We'll see you next week.